Hi there, and thanks for joining us for this late edition of ViuTV News. I'm Patrick Fogg. Coming up on the show, the Chinese president arrives in Hong Kong for handover celebrations and praises CY Leung for protecting the country's sovereignty. Vatican's treasurer to return to homeland Australia for sexual assault trial as the highest-ranking church official ever to be charged. And the US to beef up security measures for flights to the country, but avoids expanding in-cabin ban on laptops. Okay, we begin tonight with the highly anticipated visit of the Chinese president. Xi Jinping arrived in the city earlier today for his three-day trip amid heavy security. In a meeting with the chief executive and his fellow officials, Xi praised their efforts in curbing independence movements in Hong Kong. Evelina Leung reports.
The president arrived in Hong Kong on a private plane just before noon. Xi Jinping and his wife were greeted by former, current and incoming government officials. Other Beijing officials also on this trip include State Councillor Wang Jieqi and Wang Guangya, the director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office. Xi delivered his first speech on the tarmac.
9 years and now I'm back on Hong Kong soil. I am very happy as Hong Kong has always been in my heart. In 2 days, the SAR will be celebrating the 20th anniversary of its handover back to China. This is a big, happy event for both the city and the country.
He listed out the three aims of his trip: to offer his blessings to Hong Kong, to show support, and to map out the city's future. Xi then headed to his Wan Chai Hotel, where there's heavy police presence. Now, just to give you an idea of how tight security is here in Wan Chai, I'm standing on the bridge leading into the immigration tower, which is just right in front of the hotel that Xi is said to be staying at. There are quite a number of plainclothes and uniformed police officers patrolling the area, and they're also filming the people passing by. Nearby roads were blocked off with huge water barriers and roadblocks set up. Demonstrators are kept in protest zones away from the hotel for careful control during the president's stay. At the hotel, Xi met with Chief Executive CY Leung and his team. The president praised Leung for protecting the country's sovereignty and upholding the spirit of the Basic Law over the past 5 years. Xi added the CE has Beijing's full support and hopes he will continue to contribute to the country in his new position as a vice chairman to the nation's top advisory body. Evelina Leung, ViuTV News.
Well, as part of his visit, Xi watched over the seal of approval for one of Hong Kong's most controversial projects. The Palace Museum, to be built in West Kowloon Cultural District, will house relics loaned from Beijing. But it's drawn the ire of critics who are furious about the lack of public consultation. President Xi was briefed on the museum's progress just before the signing ceremony. He was then treated to a Cantonese opera performance by a group of young singers. Meantime, China's First Lady Peng Liyuan was on a charm offensive, meeting with students at a kindergarten in Kowloon Tong. Peng was accompanied by the chief executive's wife, Regina Leung, to the Yao Yat Chin School this afternoon. Incoming Education Secretary Kevin Yeung was also there. They left within half an hour, shaking hands with the school's teachers. 22 people arrested for protesting in Golden Bohemia Square are still in custody 24 hours after being detained. 4 others have been released on bail. Dozens of people showed up at the North Point police station throughout the day, demanding their release. They criticized police officers for holding them for hours without making any statements about the case. Deposito founder Joshua Wong and lawmaker Nathan Law were among those taken into custody for climbing the statue in Wan Chai last night. On social media, Wong accused police of dragging out the detention process to stop the group from joining the pro-democracy July 1st rally on Saturday. Next, a video showing Chinese Nobel Prize laureate Liu Xiaobo's time in prison has surfaced on YouTube. This comes as politicians and rights activists across the globe urge Beijing to release the liver cancer patient while questioning the quality of care he's receiving. In the video, Liu expresses his gratitude to the authorities who have been, quote, taking good care of him. Rights activist Hu Jia described it as a propaganda video designed to quell the intense criticism over how Liu was treated in jail. Separately, Shenyang authorities said Liu was given annual body checks since he was jailed in 2009 and insisted no irregularities were found until a month ago. Okay, news elsewhere now. In a case that's shaking the Vatican to its core, the Pope has granted Cardinal George Pell leave to face trial in Australia over multiple sexual assault offences. Pell, the Catholic Church's treasurer, denies all the allegations and says he's going home to clear his name. Samantha Vardas has the details.
He's one of the top advisors to Pope Francis and now the highest-ranking church official to be charged with sexual abuse.
Today, Victoria Police have charged Cardinal George Pell with historical sexual assault offences.
Cardinal Pell is currently the treasurer of the Vatican, but he'll be tried in his homeland of Australia. The Australian Catholic Church says Pell strenuously denies the charges and plans to return home to clear his name.
There's been relentless character assassination. I'm looking forward, finally, to having my day in court. I'm innocent of these charges. They are false.
Reuters' Byron Kay is following the story from Sydney.
And what happens now is that Pell has agreed to come to his official court date where he has to appear. There was some concern that he may try to avoid that, which would have led to an extradition battle. But since Pell has agreed to come, the next step will be him facing the charges, possibly looking at receiving a brief of evidence from the complainants. And then he will have the option to enter some sort of a plea.
Police wouldn't specify the charges against Pell, the ages of the alleged victims or when the crimes are thought to have occurred. But the case has already posed a dilemma for the Pope, who's vowed zero tolerance for abuse.
The fallout from this can't be understated. Obviously, Pell is a pretty high-profile scalp for them to get, even though he's not been found guilty. So that in itself is pretty damning, and it sort of goes to a lot of the complaints that the problem, the rot within the church is going all the way to the top.
It's the latest development in a long-running case that's seen investigations by police and the church. Pell has denied allegations throughout.
Coming up next, the latest from the world of business. Okay, market action first. And Hong Kong stocks shot up to their highest level in nearly 3 weeks. And Xi Jinping's arrival may very well have played a part. The Hang Seng Index finishing the day up 1.1%, with financials really the driving force behind today's spike. Investors are betting Beijing will unveil a suite of pro-Hong Kong policies as the city marks 20 years since the handover. And that gamble may very well pay off, with President Xi saying he'll work towards ensuring Hong Kong's autonomy in the future. Staying here in the city, and it seems Hong Kongers aren't shying away from the shops anymore. Retail sales were up 0.5% for May compared to this time last year, the third straight month of rebounds. The government puts the numbers down to a boost in tourism and the resilience of consumer demand locally. Now, just when Toshiba thought its problems couldn't get worse, they have. The Japanese conglomerate has missed its self-imposed deadline to sell off its prized memory chip unit, and in a new twist, it's suing its joint venture partner for $1 billion. David Pollard reports.
It was supposed to be a red-letter day for Toshiba, but this is one the Japanese tech firm has missed. Wednesday's deadline to tie up an $18 billion deal to sell its prized chip unit postponed amid differences, it says, within the consortium chosen as the preferred bidder. Toshiba desperately needs the cash after cost overruns at its bankrupt US nuclear unit, last week revealing losses that, at a predicted $9 billion, will be even bigger than expected. The pain doesn't stop there. Toshiba now declaring it'll sue its chip-making joint venture partner, Western Digital, for $1 billion for interfering in the sale. Western Digital is seeking an injunction to stop it going through without its consent, which it claims would breach contracts. It's also raised concerns over sharing technology with SK Hynix, the South Korean firm that is one member of the consortium, though in a saga full of twists and turns, announced on Tuesday that it's to resubmit its own bid for the chip business.
And protests are raging across India, with textile traders furious over new tax, which they say will kill their business. They've shut their